Hello and welcome everyone to Sage of Fables, and I am your host, the Fabled Sage, and with me today you might see and or hear that I have two very cool special guests, friends, and fellow brewers, Mikey and Ben, who I've been very privileged to be able to get some games with and talk cEDH brewing and theory. And yeah, say hi everyone.
Hey, what's up? So I'm Mikey. Was someone who's worked a lot on the Naru deck, and last year I mostly played Gitrog, and now I've switched over to just all the Turbo Adnaz decks. So Anal is my main deck, as well as one of this new brew that Ben and I have been working on.
Hi, I'm Ben. I mostly play control lists, very unusual lists in cEDH, although I wanted to change it up and I built this deck for us today.
Yeah, so I definitely know my first games with Mikey were being introduced through this Anala deck, and I'm like, excuse me, how many steps are in this?
Not enough.
We could use about 7 more, and then maybe. And so yeah, going and then I've seen, and then Anala recently got posted onto the decklist database. Did it not?
Yeah, so there was already a couple Anal lists on there, but mine recently got admitted, which was really cool. So my list is a little bit more grindy, and I play some cards such as Mnemonic Betrayal, which Ben and I are huge fans of.
That card is
So
insane.
yeah, it is. So it was really cool. That's the first list I've ever gotten on the database, and I'm glad it's Anala, which is a deck I've put so much time into, and I'm pretty happy with the tech choices I've made versus the other lists that are on there.
Hell yeah, it's always an interesting deck, and I'm always afraid of it at the table because it's kind of like Omnath, where at literally at any point in the game you could just win, and there's like real no hint as to when that's going to happen. And
Yeah, you
yeah,
only
so
need 4 mana, and there's a lot of one-card wins, so it gets there.
As the controlling player at most of the pods he tries to wins at, I'm always terrified of your turns.
yeah, and Ben, you're also a judge as well, and I remember my first game playing with you. You were playing 4-color like Curious Control, and I was playing Niv Mizzet Perrin, and it was wonderful and awful at the same time.
That was a beautiful game.
With exploiting some weird interaction when I tried to stifle your Thassa's Oracle win, but you tap City of Brass and that created a trigger. It was very silly. cEDH is a wonderful and strange landscape to be sure.
Yup.
But yeah, the deck that we're talking about that you all have been working on, what was the inspiration for that? And tell what's like kind of maybe some of the history behind the theory and how you got to this.
So it's kind of funny how it started. Originally, I was like, Ben, I want to play a mid-range list because I'm tired of going fast all the time. And so we pulled up a build called Cheese Rush, which is just like a mid-range, like Ad Nauseam Thrasios File Smasher deck. And Ben's like, this is slow. I want to go fast. And which I was shocked because Ben always plays control. And I just rolled with it. I was like, all right, cool. I guess I'm playing another turbo deck. And that was the main inspiration. Ben, you can go in why we picked like Thrasios and File Smasher.
And so we took that list and we just kept cutting cards and putting different faster cards. So we're like, oh, let's cut this and put in another ritual, and then another ritual, and let's put in Ancient Tomb. Every single piece of fast mana we could put in, and that kind of helps that we're on Thrasios Foul Smasher. We get every single ritual practically. We get to play with Elvish Spirit Guide. We get to play with Manamorphose to fix our colors with our like fast mana. It's really crazy how fast we get to go.
Yeah, so if you can't read the screen or don't know, Thrasios Triton Hero is a legendary creature merfolk wizard for a green and a blue, a 1/3. It has partner, notably, and it has an activated ability for 4 generic mana, and you get to scry 1, and then you reveal the top card of your library, and if it's a land, you put it into the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, you get to draw a card, which, I mean, oh my god, what were fucking Simic.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know what they were thinking, but
all partners are not created equal, and this is definitely the one where it's like, Simic go hard. And then we have File Smasher, 1 black red for a 2/3 legendary creature, Goblin Berserker. It's my personal opinion that there need to be more Berserkers in the world.
100% agree.
And whenever you cast your first spell each turn, Vile Smasher the Fierce deals damage equal to that spell CMC to an opponent chosen at random. Okay, random judge question for you, because you could redirect to, or used to be able to redirect to planeswalkers. How does that work now for Vial Smasher?
So when they made the change, they made new errata for every single card that was affected by it, and Vial Smasher got treatment that was unlike every other card. The way Vial Smasher now reads, let me just pull up the Oracle text for it. You choose a player at random, and then you may deal the damage to them or a planeswalker they control. So you're choosing a player at random,
okay.
and then you get to choose where the damage goes on resolution.
That's okay. So basically, it does effectively work the same. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think before, I don't recall, but before, yeah, it works the same as before. That's correct. Yeah.
Neat. So yeah, so this is a turbo nozzleless. So basically, yeah. So yeah, how does this deck want looking to position itself in the game?
We're looking to be the fastest, if not the second fastest deck at the table. We're trying to resolve a Naz or appear into the Abyss by turn 2, turn 3 the latest. So we mulligan very aggressively for our rituals, like a tutor and a ritual, fast mana, saying that we can get us there. Every now and then we'll opt to do like a turn 1, turn 2 wheel just to try to get more gas. Like if we had a hand that was like heavy with a lot of mana rocks, so we can just drop all of our rocks, wheel. That's a pretty good disruption turn 1, and then hopefully we can draw into a payoff that we can cast turn 2, turn 3.
Very cool. Yeah, and then Ad Nauseam is an instant for 3 black. You reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to its CMC, and you can repeat this any number of times. Famously, well, now it's a now dead deck in Modern. But yes, one of the cards that is definitely has really sprung up recently over like in the cEDH meta without post flash bans, that it's just a card that you run into all the time, and now it's got its younger brother peer into the abyss for 4 black, a sorcery. Target player draws cards equal to half the number of cards in their library and loses half their life rounded up each time, and I am desperately waiting to deflecting swat that at one time.
I've pulled it off. It's very sweet.
God, it must feel so good.
Feels good for someone, not everyone.
Definitely. But yeah, so what is like sort of the kind of general game plan? Like, are you trying to like slam Thrasios as soon as possible? Are you, aside from trying to like link together a bunch of rituals?
So the main thing we're looking for is an early win. You might want to be able to cast Thrasios on the way there just to enable Fierce Guardianship, Deflecting SWAT, and Jeska's Will. But otherwise, look for the win. Nothing else matters. If you win, the game's over. There's nothing else to worry about.
Yeah, definitely going for those early wins while because people have definitely been playing like really greedy, trying to like jam all of their value engines as like quickly as possible to get those down and then worry about trying to go off and win. I feel like the game, although it's like really going, there are a lot of turbo decks, it is interesting that there's this kind of tension between like trying to jam value engines and like, you know, trying to get a big fat Naz. It's always interesting to see like how that plays out in different pod compositions.
Yeah, and something that's happened to me several times, like people will tap out turn 1 for like a Rhystic Study, or like they'll do a turn 1 Mystic Remora, and I just don't care, because it'll be like, cool, I'll get my 2 rituals off, I'll draw you 2 cards, cast Adnaz or Peta, and then when I have all those cards in my hand, like I'm gonna have enough counters to deal with it, because they only have access to like Pact of Negation, Force of Negation, Force of Will. So as long as I can deal with 3 counters that they may or may not even draw along the way, it doesn't matter. So I've been able to just combo through it, and people are like, oh my gosh, like why are you doing that? That seems dumb. And I'm like, if I have 40 cards in my hand, I think I can win, even if you have a Remora on the field.
Definitely. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that this deck is trying to take advantage of people just not having a turn 2. They play something on turn 1, like a mana rock. They let's say they just play a mana vault on turn 1 so they could play a turn 2 Crom. They kept a perfectly fine hands. They just weren't prepared for you to win turn 2. If you're earlier in turn order than people, you can demolish them.
I like it. And so how exactly is it that this deck is looking to win? Like, what kind of combos do we have going on? How's it looking to close a game?
It's pretty basic. Consult, breach lines. So it's just like jamming a Thassa's Oracle or brain freezing everyone. Those are the two main ways to win. And then we also run Mnemonic Betrayal, which Ben and I have been big proponents of for a very long time. He ran it in all his control lists. I'll let him talk a little bit more about it. But we'll just steal other people's win constant Mnemonic Betrayal because so many people are casting wheels in this format. And like I said, our deck likes to cast wheels as well because if we just drop fast mana, wheel, we had access to all their tutors, their ad nauses, whatever's in their grave, and Mnemonic Betrayal just gets there like pretty much 90% of the time it's cast.
Oh my
Mnemonic
God.
Betrayal is an absolutely amazing card. It has yet to disappoint me once, which really is saying something. It is a one-card combo, often even with 0 mana floating. You play other people's fast mana out of your graveyard, you play their tutors, everyone at the table is playing cEDH decks, you get all of their best cards that they've played. So this almost inevitably brings you to a win, and the filtering of mana that you can use colorless mana to play their colored cards. So you can play someone else's Lion's Eye Diamond, crack their Lion's Eye Diamond, cast their Soul Ring, tap the Soul Ring to play someone else's Dockside, and now you have so much mana to play all of their tutors and just find one of your other combos. Also, unlike Yogg's Will, it doesn't stop you from playing breach lines on that specific turn.
That's true. That is definitely true. Yeah, quickly. So Thassa's Oracle is 2 blue for a 1/3 Merfolk Wizard, and when it ETBs, you get to look at the top X cards, where X is your devotion. Put one of them into your hand, and the rest on top of your library random order, and then if your devotion is greater than the number of cards in your library, you get to win the game. So this is obviously paired with Demonic Consultation for an instant, which is 1 black. You name a card, remove the top 6 cards of your library from the game, then reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal the name card, and put that card into your hand and remove all the other cards that reveal this way from the game. So you name something that's not your deck, you empty out your library, and then you get to get that sweet win. And then, of course, there's the Breach line, which I talked about in my Omnath deck, where you loop Lion's Eye Diamond and Brain Freeze, and basically to mill yourself out and then mill out your opponents. And yeah, which is definitely, oh man, that was definitely... I made a Kaikar deck as one of the first cEDH decks that I built outside of Niv Mizzet, and this was the line that I was like, wow, you can do this? This format is so cool! What weird and insane cards.
Yeah, it's like, who knows what Brain Freeze is that plays other formats in cEDH?
Right?
Like, this is in every blue deck now, or most blue decks. Like,
Yeah, if you can run it, why not? Because sometimes, even if you're not playing Storm, like, you can just get people out of nowhere.
Being able to assemble the combo out of tutors in your graveyard makes it especially easy to assemble. And note that you can also do it with Wheel of Fortune instead of Brain Freeze and wheel into the Brain Freeze eventually.
Indubitably. So yes, what are some of the noble inclusions in the deck that perhaps that you might not expect to see for this 4-color pairing?
So we already talked enough about Mnemonic Betrayal. Ben and I, we think everyone should be playing that card that's in blue-black. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't be. It's just so powerful. Other than that,
agree.
Yeah. And then other than that, one card that I'm really big on, which I know some people aren't huge fans of, is Orcish Lumberjack. This card is so powerful because it can turn 1 forest into 4 mana. So that basically means like Dark Ritual and 1 forest gets you into Peer into the Abyss. So it's really good for just turbing stuff out super fast.
Yeah, so Orcish Lumberjacks. Text is a 1 red mana for a creature orc. Tap and sacrifice a forest. Add 3 mana in any combination of red or green to your mana pool. And that is... Wow! Oh my god. Maybe I should put this in Omnath, damn.
I don't think it'd be bad. Like I said, just turning 1 forest into 4 mana, like, that's
good.
so good.
Ooh, oh god, especially in Omnath, because you play a fetch, you crack it, you get the 4 mana from Omnath's second landfall ability, and then you can sack your forest to the Lumberjack. Holy shit!
Yeah.
It makes so much mana. It's so powerful when you get to use it. It can be a bit awkward at sometimes because you're a base blue-black deck, and you have to
Right.
play a red creature that requires you to have a forest. So you're using every single color here. So it can be a bit awkward at times, but a couple things smooth that out, including Manamorphose or being able to use the red mana into Dockside to play their black-blue spells. There's a lot of ways of smoothing that out, but the raw power in the card is really what we're looking for.
Absolutely. Yeah, Manamorphose is absolutely one of my favorite spells. When I saw that was in your list, it just brought me great joy. Like the mana filtering, the drawing a card. Oh, good stuff.
Yeah, I love it in my evolution list as well. It's quite powerful.
Like Lumberjack can turn to Adnaz by itself with just Badlands and Bayou.
Exactly. So another card, speaking of Metamorphose, that we're on, which it's definitely been growing in popularity, but I feel like it's not as popular as it should be, is Final Fortune. So this card's here for a couple of reasons. One, off Necropotence, it's just amazing because you can Necro for, say, like 30, exile your Simian Spirit Guide, Elvish Spirit Guide, or like cast Metamorphose to get your double red, take an extra turn, and now you have a perfectly sculpted hand. And another way that I like to use it a lot, which catches people off guard, is I'll use it in response to like a counter war. So if like someone's trying to go off, someone stops them, and now everyone's tapped out. I'll just cast Final Fortune to sneak in an extra turn before the control player gets to untap, and then you're just able to win or just do like go nuts, especially with how explosive this deck can be.
The control player can more aggressively tap out when they are about to get another turn, and then you sneak a extra turn in there right before then. You can even do that the same play if an Urza player taps their Winter Orb or their Static Orb right before they take a turn, and you're like, hey, let me take the turn instead. I'm going to just squeeze my turn in there. I'll win. Don't worry about it. I'm sure it's fine.
Can I get cutscenes? Yeah, so Final Fortune is an instant for red, take another turn. After this one, you lose the game at the end of that turn. Yeah, I love these red extra turn spells. I think they are fantastic. Yeah, especially when you get to play cutscenes in front of the control player. You're like, let me just get in there real quick. Oh, look, I win!
It's so great. It being an instant just puts it over the top.
Oh, 100%. And then I saw another one that was notable that you all included was Tinderwall for a green, a defender, and you can sack it to add red to your mana pool, and then pay a red, sack Tinderwall, and Tinderwall does 2 damage to target creature if it's blocking. So I'm guessing that's not terribly relevant. The second line
Funny you say that because I lost the game because I forgot Tinderwall had that text. And I swung my Hull Breacher at someone, and then they sacked their Tinderwall, and I was like, oh, there goes my Hull Breacher. Whoops.
Never making that mistake again.
Never again.
That's brilliant. Wow. I love it when you remember that cards have, like, second lines of abilities, and you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it got me, and I learned my lesson. But yeah, Tinderwall's just there as another fast ritual. We want to go fast, and being able to make 2 mana out of it is just quite strong.
That's the exact same reason we're on Rite of Flame. It's literally almost the same card. We're playing every piece of fast mana we can, even just playing a 2-mana rock on turn 1 to make it easier to add Naz the next turn.
Yeah, I always see, like, it always kind of surprises me when I see Rite of Flame in EDH decks, because I'm like, but it's the only one. But, you know, when you're trying to go fast, and then, you know, having Culling the Weak and Cabal Ritual and Dark Ritual, are there times where you feel like it is hard to filter your mana with so many different, like, color requirements, or, like, how...
It can be. The Mana Ox really helped, just being able to Rite of Flame into a Mana Rock, like an Arcane Signet, and then tap that for black or blue the next turn. You got that Mana Rock out a little bit earlier. Manamorphose also helps.
Yeah, Dockside's good. We run, like, Vimage to be a Dockside doubler. We have, like, Chain of Vapor to help with that and, like, bounce our rocks. So, like, it can be awkward, but if you resolve the Adnaz and got the colors for the Adnaz to go off, from there, you're able to do it. You might have to get a little creative, but if you just look at your hand long enough, you'll be able to find a way. Also, one thing about Rite of Flame that people forget is that you get an extra red for every Rite of Flame in everyone's graveyard.
Oh my god, an easy graveyard. Holy shit.
It's not just yours. So all the people running Turbo Naz decks, they're also running this card. So it's something to watch out for because you can help someone because you might give them extra mana, but it's also important to check people's graveyards because if you're making 3 mana instead of 2, that can be extremely relevant when you're trying to storm off.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah,
More-
Turbo Nods is always a difference of like 1 mana whether you get there or not.
Mm-hmm.
More last lines of text that you kind of ignore on cards.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
And then what are things that you all are choosing not to include?
The first one is Opposition Agent. The main reason we're not playing this card is because normally you would be playing this card on turn 2, but it doesn't win you the game on turn 2. So we want to win the game on turn 2, so we don't play this card. That's generally the bar for inclusion on most of our cards. Does it help you win on turn 2? And Opposition Agent just doesn't fit that bill. It's more of a stacks piece to stop other people from winning, maybe steal a tutor if you're lucky. And we don't want to play that game. We want to just have the tutor ourselves, win on turn 2.
I like it. Yeah, also like along those lines, Praetor's Grasp and Diabolic Intent. I was kind of surprised about Diabolic Intent. Yeah, can you talk more about that?
Sure. So we don't have that many creatures. We have a guaranteed Thrasios at 2 mana, which is pretty good. And there aren't enough creatures to warrant both Diabolic Intent and Culling the Weak. And so we decided to cut Diabolic Intent because you're generally paying green-blue for Thrasios and then
Right.
black colorless for Diabolic Intent. And that's just too mana-specific and not efficient enough for the tutor that we want. So it's almost similar to be playing one of the 4-mana tutors like Diabolic Tutor. Is that the one I'm thinking of? Or...
Yeah. It's like 2 black.
yeah.
Exactly. It's too similar to that, and we can't play tutors that inefficient.
Yeah, the other thing too is like we're at 10 creatures, but you need to look at 2 of those are Spirit Guides, so we're never casting those unless like
Right.
something really bad went wrong. And then we also have Thassa's Oracle as one, and Tinderwall as another. So it's like Tinderwall,
Yeah.
we're always just gonna sack it to itself for the most part when we cast it, and then Oracle, once again, if that's on the battlefield and it's there to sack, something else went terribly wrong. So
Makes sense.
we don't
yeah.
still have enough creatures capitalized.
Oops. There we go. Yeah, interesting. And Praetor's Grasp, another staple. What's your reasoning behind that one?
This one we've gone back and forth on a little bit. Ultimately, we just felt it was a little too slow. But it's something that we're still considering. Like this deck is still very much a work in progress, and it might get slotted in because it is nice off of Adnos turns or like with consulting. Because Ben and I like to be very aggressive with our demonic consultations. For instance, like going for turn 2 crypts or going for like Adnos when we have a bunch of fast mana. So Prayer's Grasp may end up making the cut because then if we exile all of our win cons, we can steal someone else's. But for now, we just felt it was too slow at double black sorcery speed. Just wasn't doing what we wanted to do because we're trying to close. If the game goes past turn 3, we've kind of accepted that we're probably not winning it anyway. So when you need to do a sorcery speed tutor like that, it's just a little too slow. But it is something that we're considering.
All right, very cool. And then I guess also along the lines of Thrasios and Val Smasher, what made you choose them versus going with Yidris or some other like combination of partners to get those colors?
So I would say that this deck is most similar to Yidris in just how aggressive you want to be and try to win. But we came to the decision that Thrasios enabling Deflecting Swat, Fierce Guardianship, and Jessica's Will is better than the off chance that you'll actually be able to get a hit in with Yidris. People are too aggressive against Yidris, and Thrasios is just so cheap to enable these cards. So we decided Thrasios was just a little bit better. He also enables just a Culling the Weak, just more fast mana. We decided that was just a little more important.
And he does give card draw if things go very wrong and we just need to pray. And so we'll just sit back and activate Thrasios with all of our fast mana after our Nautilus got countered, which is not the best place to be, but it's a lot worse if you're just sitting with a Yidris in the command zone.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
Our grind plan is often just hope you can wheel and draw 6-7 more cards, and those 7 cards bring you to another win. The deck is very good at winning.
So much winning. You're going to be tired of winning. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, this deck looks... I haven't gotten to play it against it yet, but I'm definitely look forward to it. I know my dear Omnath is definitely not going to be able to keep up, so it's just going to be hoping and a praying to be able to stop you. But with that, let's look at some mulligans here. Let me blink. All right, so so tell me whether you would keep this, whether we'll take a second 7 or keep bowling down, and then like how you would kind of sequence your first like couple turns. So we have Flusterstorm, Mox Diamond, Orcish Lumberjack, Marsh Flats, Chrome Mox, Fierce Guardianship, and Badlands.
As a first 7, I think that's an easy ship.
What
Yeah,
makes
I
you
agree.
say that?
It's
What
just
makes you say that?
Yeah, it's a little too slow. So it's like right here, it's like we have the Fierce Guardianship, like if we get Thrasios out, but like that's not a place we want to be. We don't want to have 2 mana, cast Thrasios, and then hold up interaction. Like we really need to try to progress our game plan. If there was like a tutor in there, I might consider keeping it. But without any tutor or any way to access one of our payoffs, it's just we're not doing anything. It's basically like turn 1 Thrasios, turn 2 hold up mana, turn 3 hope we get something.
Right.
We're really looking for a scary spell to cast, for example, Adnos or Pier or Tutor, and a lot of mana. That's the main 2 things we're looking for, and we don't have both of those, so yeah.
Makes sense. All right, second 7, we have Demonic Tutor, Breeding Pool, Imperial Seal, Chrome Mox, Pact of Negation, Time Twister, and an Overgrown Tomb.
I like this one. Has a lot of tutors, so we can just Imp Seal for Crypt, and now we have a potential to wheel turn 2, or we have options. Lots of tutors means lots of options.
True, yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely a hand I would keep. I think it's probably like Chrome Mox, you pitch the Pact of Negation, we're not casting that anytime soon, and then just try to drop the turn 2 wheel after we tutor a Crypt to the top.
Yeah.
Maybe use Demonic Tutor to get another piece of fast mana, because we can use that to get like a mana vault. So when we draw our fresh 7, we have like 3 colors mana available. That seems like a pretty good spot to be in, and then we can just wait to hit one of our payoffs.
Neat, yeah. Alright, so a fresh 7, we have a Thassa's Oracle, a Force of Will, a Simian Spirit Guide, a Culling the Weak, Watery Grave, Windfall, and Chrome Mox. This is a little awky. Definitely
It's a turn 1 Windfall.
That's true.
Might not make the cut, but I think this would depend on turn order. I think if we're going first, we would keep this, because that will just disrupt the other 3 people that just mulligan very aggressively for hands. And while it's not like particularly fast, we have the Chrome Mox, so that puts us above curve. And then the chance of us drawing something good on 7, or like assuming at least one of the other 3 players kept 7, is extremely high. Whether it just be rocks or something, it seems like we'll be in a good spot. But if we're like going 3rd or 4th, I wouldn't keep this hand, because then the first 2 people already dropped their hands that they mulled for.
I mean, here we're getting our mana into play while making everyone else who kept a good hand get rid of it and get new hands, and we refill our hand. So altogether, that's just a lot of really good things and puts us in a really good spot.
Yeah, definitely very disruptive turn 1. Alright, so let's look at another one here. We've got Soul Ring, Dispel, Morphic Pool, Peer into the Abyss, a Badlands, Necropotence, and Demonic Tutor. Yeah, definitely not. That Necropotence is a little bit awkward.
It's so tempting, but
yeah.
like, how do we get the triple black?
Do you Demonic Tutor for a dark ritual, then throw down a Necropotence?
I don't mind it.
Yeah, I don't mind that either. Like, I don't know if this was like a first 7, I don't know if I would keep it, but if this was like a 6 or a 5, 100% keep it and just hope that the dark red doesn't get countered.
All right. Let's take a fresh second 7 then. All right, so we've got Mox Diamond, Overgrown Tomb, Talisman of Dominance, Elvish Spirit Guide, Scalding Tarn, Thassa's Oracle, and a Mana Confluence. Oh, this is a lot of mana. This is only mana. Oh lord.
Yeah.
We just need an action spell.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a tutor. Even if it was just like drop mana and then top deck tutor a wheel or Adnos. But this is just not doing what we want to do. There's a chance that we just brick and we don't do anything. We just have a bunch of mana.
While other builds could just try to drop a fast Thrasios activations and try to grind out the game, we know that we don't have enough counter magic to be able to stop other people from winning.
Right.
And instead, we should just go for our win.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's get a 6. Culling the Weak, Brain Freeze, Noxious Revival, Tropical Island, Underworld Breach, Time Twister, and Mystical Tutor.
With Tropical Island, I don't think that there's just enough things you can do here.
Yeah.
No. It's so tempting because it has Breach and Brain Freeze already, but the mana is just awkward.
Yeah.
If we had
Yeah.
like one dork, I would be pretty tempted to keep it because then it's like turn one Birds of Paradise and then we can Culling, have a bunch of mana, and then maybe do something. But as
yeah.
it is, I think we go to 5.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to mill really low. Worst case scenario, you like keep a hand as a turn 1 wheel and just like the deck is very good at wheeling if you really need to.
If you really need to.
Exactly.
I'll see myself out, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so we're down to
boy.
5. We have a Gitaxian Probe, an Arcane Signet, a Dockside Extortionist, an Exotic Orchard, a Force of Will, an Underground River, and a Demonic Consultation.
I like this one.
This one I keep for sure.
At
Yeah.
5? Yeah.
Let's see. So for what we bottom here, that's hard. Probably the Arcane Signet, I'd say, is one of them. It's a little too slow because we're really just banking on Dockside making us a lot of mana.
Yeah.
And then knowing Ben and I, we're consulting for Crypt or something.
Well, we have
Yeah, because you have 2 lands, a Force of Will, and a Git Probe, so you can have something to pitch to Force of Will. But if you're going to 5, yeah, what would be the 2 that you would bottom?
could it be Git Pro? Could it be
That's what.
Forceful if we just don't have enough cards to like pitch a card
think-
to it?
I would do Forcible and Arcane
Yeah.
Signet.
Yeah, I could see that.
Arcane Signet's a little too slow. We don't have a way to just get it out turn 1. Force of Will, like we're definitely casting the Git Probe over holding up Force of Will, man, because we're just trying to draw cards. And then
Yeah, I
we're
don't
probably doing, yeah. And then turn 2 Dockside, hope we have mana, and probably aggressively consult for either a Mana Crypt or some payoff spell.
Mulling to 5, we don't have the luxury of just holding up Force with another card to pitch. That's mulling. That's your option. You're voluntarily mulling yourself to 3.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we'll do one more. We've got an RAB, Pact of Negation, Verdant Catacombs, Windswept Heath, Chrome Mox, Taiga, and Gemstone Caverns. Wow, this is also so much mana.
Yeah, that's a snap send away. Pact of Negation's dead for a while.
Yeah.
We don't want to just hold up a counter spell. And this is just a turn 1 Thrasios, do nothing for 3 turns.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not actually doing anything proactive, which we're trying to do.
All right, so fresh 7, Mental Misstep, Ristic Study, Wheel of Misfortune, Volcanic Island, Red Elemental Blast, Jessica's Will, and a Chrome Mox. Ooh, this is actually kind of spicy.
The Chrome Mox really helps.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, so
Sure, Ben, would you keep this one as a second 7?
Second 7. I'm not sure.
oh, if you had a green card to put under Chrome Mox, because then you could do Volcanic Island, Chrome Mox, Thrasios, and then this is interesting.
I feel like
this-
I'd just be aggressive. When I'm in doubt, I just mulligan because mulliganing
Yeah.
is so broken in this format.
Yeah.
True.
Like, if this had one more piece of mana, like any
Yeah.
piece of mana, I'd keep it just for what you were just saying. It's like turn 1 Thrasios, turn 2 Jessica's Will, make a bunch of mana, cast a wheel. Like, that's a good place to be in. But the fact that we could just get screwed if we don't hit another mana source, it's just
Feels
it feels bad. We need to have a very solid turn 2 planned with this deck. If
Yeah.
we're not looking at our turn 2, like doing something explosive or like getting a wheel off, we're probably not winning that game.
The best thing to do is mulligan aggressively. Don't be afraid of losing to your mulligans before losing the game. I think that you win more games by aggressively mulling to hands that are not mediocre but stellar than you would by keeping reasonable hands.
All right, yeah. So let's go to 6. We have Manamorphose, Pact of Negation, Mox Amber, Marsh Flats, Gamble, Brain Freeze, and Spell Pierce. So we've got 2 pieces of mana, a random tutor, 2 counter spells, Brain Freeze, and Manamorphose. So you got your fixing for color,
Yeah.
a maybe tutor.
Maybe tutor. I would probably send this back. It's a little too risky on gamble going our way, and even if gamble goes our way, there's nothing that we don't have a good enough payoff. Like, because like I said, we need to look at our hand and see what we're doing turn 2. And with this, it's like we don't have the mana to get to Adnaz or PETA. Like, I guess we could gamble for a wheel and then try to do like a turn 2 wheel, but we have better options. We have better.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with Moxhammer there being in your opening hand, it's kind of like, eh.
Yeah, we need some more fast mana or something.
Yeah, I just don't want a hand that says, okay, how is this reasonable to play? And want a hand that says, how does this go absolutely amazing for me?
Right. All right, going to 5. We have Underground Sea, Talisman of Dominance, Badlands, Dockside, Bloodstained Mire, Hullbreacher, and Vamp Tutor.
Snapkeep.
Easy.
I don't know. We have
especially at 5. Like,
yeah, we have Vamp, we have Hullbreacher, so we could just set up a Hullbreacher wheel.
we have Dockside, which will which will most likely make us a fair amount of mana turn 2.
Yeah, so we could probably just turn 1 Vamp, and then if Dockside makes 6 on turn 2, which is reasonable.
It's not unheard of, for sure.
Well, not even. Is it 6? Yeah,
It would
6.
be 6 if
yeah,
if we're trying
6.
to wheel and breacher, it would be 6, but that's still very doable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so probably ship the Talisman in one of the lands, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Yeah, so this, I mean, yeah, looking at these opening hands, like it is definitely explosive. And you know, clearly by the way that you all have constructed this, it seems like it would be pretty consistent, which is neat.
Yeah, when we the first day that we built the deck and we're trying it out, Ben and I were in the same pod, but there was no game for that pod that went past turn 2.
The funny part about that pod was that every time we randomized, Mikey and I would both go first or second. Both first and second. And this happened 4 times in a row, which was absolutely nuts. And I felt a little bit bad for the other people in the pod, but it was legitimately random, and
Yeah.
it was just unfair.
Yeah, like they weren't expecting it either because they're used to Ben playing control, and you see these commanders and you generally think it's going to be like a slower control deck, and then we're just like, no, here's a turn 1 Nas, turn 2 PETA. Like there was one game I was able to get off I had cast a turn 2 PETA. It got countered, and then I still had enough mana to Time Twister.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Orcish Lumberjack put in work. It helped me hit 10 mana turn 2.
Oh, beautiful. And then, so I guess, yeah, what are, I mean, so obviously the strength of the deck is how explosive it is, how it's just going to take games very quickly. What are, like, the weaknesses of this deck? Like, what are some pods that you find challenging or some matchups that you find difficult?
I mean, going to turn 3 is rough. So in general, it's like stacks is definitely gives us a very hard time, depending on what pieces they play. For instance, like earlier today, I was able to go through a Trinisphere because I just, in response to the Trinisphere, tutored for Adnaz off Consultation, and then I just cast Adnaz, and then with so many cards in my hand, I was able to play around the Trinisphere. But like stacks, things like Thalia effects definitely hurt us the most because then all of our rituals become substantially worse. All of our 0 mana rocks cost 1, and that's the kind of stuff that really sets us back. And if we don't have, like I said, our good game plan by turn 2 set up, we're probably not winning that game. So yeah, just like stacksy things, hard control really doesn't bother us that much just because we are so fast. So it either becomes they don't establish their board and hold up counter spells. And then we're able to just drop threat after threat, and then they can't keep up. They drop an early value engine, such as like a turn 1 Crom or a turn 1 Ristic Study, and we just don't care because it's like, cool, now you don't have mana to counter my Adnaz, and then we'll just win off Adnaz. So we're able to play through control pretty well. It's mostly just stacks. We just have so many threats, and the deck is just so fast. It's either they have to leave up mana every turn, hoping to deal with us, and then they don't develop their board, and then we just overrun them eventually.
They can't hold up mana turn 1 realistically, so we're just trying to win in that period.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. But yeah, all right. Well, I mean, this deck looks very cool. I would definitely be interested to try it. I'm a mid-rangey at heart, so it would definitely be a challenge But yeah, so where can people find you if they want to talk to you, if they want to talk theory or get your ideas on the deck or yeah.
Both of us are pretty active on Discord. So mine is Mikey JH72, and then I believe the numbers are like 0112. I'm on Discord pretty much all throughout the day, even when I'm at work and stuff. I have it on like on my phone, and I'm pretty good at checking and responding if anyone has any questions. And yeah, and I'm always looking to get games in. We're always whenever I have downtime, I'm pretty much playing Magic, especially now with the pandemic. So you can always just find me on Discord. That's basically where I live now.
You can find me on Twitter. I'm not too active there, but I'm pretty responsive. You can find me BenLoeb3. Loeb is Loeb. And you can find me on Discord, Ben Z Loeb, number 5089.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, yeah, this has been a great time, and for everyone, I will post all of that in our description below, along with the deck list, so that you can look at this, take some mulligans, and proxy it and try it out for yourself. And yeah, follow me at Staff of Sage on Twitter, Instagram, and for all of your social media needs. And you can find my Moxfield at Staff of Sage as well. And yes, next week I will be doing, since all y'all are so horny and want those Attracts of Big Butts, that is the deck I will be doing next week to bring to you of our Big Butt Tribal.
That's amazing.
Catch you all next time.